Welcome to OneTake. Tonight, we're live streaming, as promised, because I don't know if you all know this, but there's no new Better Call Saul tonight. And we figured in the next few weeks, while we're all waiting for the second half of the season to come back, let's keep live streaming. Let's all console each other while we wait for the show to come back. So if you read the title, we're not talking about Better Call Saul today, unless it comes up organically, in the chat, which based on everything I'm seeing so far, it might. But I have a bunch of bullet points of stuff we can talk about. And of course, we can talk about anything you all want to bring up in the chat. Unless it's Better Call Saul.
Then it only if it's organic.
By the way, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm Gil, the voice of OneTake. And this is Adam, my brother.
Hello.
And this is my other brother, Alon.
Hello.
And the only reason I'm letting him on, even though people say how you're always trying to steal all the attention.
Wait. I thought that was him. Oh, no, that one time it was me.
No, you guys.
I've been accused of being a bummer.
Yeah, see, this is what's.
Oh, he's a bummer, and I steal the attention.
The best part of Better Call Saul being on is that I get to have you guys on as guests, so I am no longer the sole target. So
the internet's punching bag.
So here are all the ways that we're punching bags for people. I tend to mispronounce things, which I learned recently is because people are xenophobic. We grew up with parents that weren't from this country, so some of the stuff I pronounce might come off a little weird, like spiel, I say spiel. In a line,
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Curious, I say instead of curious.
I was criticized, this is in person, not on the internet, for saying experiment instead of experiment.
Oh, and Alana, how about you? Why do people have a problem with you?
Nobody
has mostly to do with his appearance.
Nobody has a problem with
I
me.
don't know why I'm starting with this. It was not my plan to say, okay, to start off with, here's how everyone makes fun of us. Yeah. No, I figured, well, first off, I just saw some pretty interesting stuff in the chat here. Liam has been inspired to break bad by these shows. So I think Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould can be proud. They're influencing people in exactly the way they hoped. Which actually did remind me, I may have saved the world with the channel, with the OneTake channel. Because I did a video a few months ago now actually, about Castlevania. What Castlevania is really about.
I know where you're going with this.
And I talked all about morality. Because that show, one of the underwriting themes is good versus evil. Mm-hmm. We've never seen that theme challenged before, really, in any show before.
It's very bold.
But I kind of defined what does the show say good and evil are. And I kind of broke it down to evil is to consume and to destroy. Good is to think and create. And somebody listened to all that, and they put in the chat, in the comments, I was planning to dedicate my life to destruction. I actually wanted to destroy the world. But after hearing this, I think I might try to do some creating. So, by the way, you're welcome, Some questions here. Slade Wilson says, thoughts on Morbius?
Oh, is it Morbin time?
It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time.
Morb me once. Shame on me. Morb me. Wait, no, it's the other way around.
Morb me once, shame on
thee.
you.
Morb me twice. Shame on Sony.
I will say that it is such a lesson in how studios don't understand anything. Because I guess everybody by now has heard the story. If you haven't, then Morbius came out and it was a terrible movie. I didn't see it, but it's one of those movies I'm comfortable skipping.
It's also supposedly one of those movies that's not so bad it's good. It's just bad.
And that's what they don't get. So all these memes came out about how terrible the movie is, and Sony put it back in theaters.
It's Morbin time.
Well, and Jared Leto had this thing on his Twitter account where like someone catches him reading the script for the sequel, like it's Morbin time. And honestly, that could have been funny if it didn't actually seem like marketing for the re-release.
At first, I thought it was. Everyone kind of said once Jared Leto made a joke about it, like pack it up, the meme's dead.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that over the line until I saw they were actually putting it back in like 1,000 theaters. I guess they were hoping it would be like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Is that what it's called? The Rocky
Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, they were hoping it'd be that. I see you're looking.
But that's not considered like a so bad it's good thing.
No,
I thought people legitimately liked them.
Yeah, I thought all the theater kids loved
like a classic.
All right, let me amend that to say I guess they were hoping it would be like The Room.
Okay, that's better. Yeah,
where people would throw spoons in the air.
Well, yeah, if we heard The Room was playing at a theater near us,
I would
go see it.
Yeah, especially if Tommy Wiseau is there.
It's actually enjoyable. Yeah. Like it actually is so bad it's good.
Yeah, that's what they didn't get. Yeah. People were not laughing at the movie in theaters. They left theaters and then made jokes about it and laughed at the jokes about the movie. But those jokes aren't in the movie.
This movie is so bad. People that have never seen it are making jokes about it. Most people don't make jokes about The Room unless they've seen clips of it.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it, but I know one especially bad line from Morbius that I read online, and it's Morbius is testing some kind of poison serum thing, and he tests it on. He's been testing it on bats, and someone asked him about it, and he goes, "To a bat, it's deadly. To a human, it's lethal." Something like that.
Hey, that sounds like The Room-esque.
Yeah.
It actually sounds pretty good.
I did not.
I wonder if for the sequel they will kind of lean into the comedy of it.
They're actually doing a sequel.
I don't know if a sequel's going to happen at this point. Yeah. I gotta think it'd be a pretty tough sell. I also
if they said Morbius 2 directed by Tommy Wiseau,
that I would see.
Then I would see it.
I also loved how before the movie came out, they were trying everything to get people to watch it. So they wanted you to believe it had something to do with Spider-Man. So in the trailers leading up to it, it had references to every iteration of Spider-Man. Like the Daily Bugle logo was from the Sam Raimi movie. The Oscorp logo was from the Andrew Garfield movie. And then, of course, Vulture shows up, who's from the Tom Holland movie. And so I said going in that people were trying to figure out, it takes place across all three universes. And I'm like, no. They just don't know what they're doing. Yeah. They just put a bunch of references in that don't make sense.
And from what I heard with the appearance of the Vulture, first of all, it happens at the way end of the movie.
Spoilers for
spoilers
Morbius.
For Morbin time.
Yeah. Wait, so that's your warning. It is now Morbin time. Yeah. All right, so get out of here if you don't want spoilers.
Yeah. So
we have our Morbin time intro theme song.
From what I hear, the Vulture shows up at the way end of the movie and is like, "You want to go after Spider-Man or something?"
Right.
And he's just like, "Yeah, let's do it." Even though apparently Morbius isn't actually like evil the whole movie, and at the way end, he's just all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, let's go get him."
Yeah, that sounds reason. About right based on what I know of the movie, just how much thought they put into it. I guess any other thoughts on Morbius?
I don't know. I love the just Morbin time. That's hilarious.
I love that list of every movie coming out in the Morbius universe for the next 7,500 years. And at one point, there's a trilogy of Morbius versus Venom movies.
Dale says, "I think I'm the only person on Earth that doesn't like any superhero movie."
Well, what do you mean any? Because there are some that don't like most of them. Box.
Yeah, I would say by now it's shifted. It's like The Simpsons, where it is now fact that I dislike more Simpsons episodes than I like. There was
by a lot.
Yes. Yeah. There was a time where there were a good number of superhero movies I liked, but that shift has happened.
Basically, everything post Ed Norton Hulk was just garbage.
Yeah, that was the last. Ed Norton Hulk was the last great superhero movie. We have a superhero. We have a super chat here from Jay Wilkes, who is a superhero.
If you give a super chat, you're a superhero.
That's right. Jay Wilkes, thank you for the $5. And I would pull your chat up on screen, but we don't have the technology to do that at the moment.
We're not using that right now.
Yeah, we're not using that system.
Guys, everybody, it's the green chat bubble.
Yeah, the one that's very prominent.
I'll give you all a second to find it. Jay says, "How close in age are you guys?" How close in age are we?
Well, I was just gonna. What's the gap between older and younger?
2 years.
I'm in between. So
all right, so he's 5 older than I am, roughly,
and I'm in between the two of them.
Yeah,
that's right.
Feels like Malcolm.
Share some stories of high school mischief you got into as a group. Pizza or burgers for dinner?
So one time, we got trapped in the sewer, and this giant rat guy taught us how to do karate.
That's true, yeah.
Because pizza made me think of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. That's right. Then remember they added that new character, Venus?
Yeah.
That female turtle that had magic powers.
She had magic powers?
Yeah. She was the Daniel.
Aren't they all kind of magical in a way? Aren't they all kind of magical in a way?
Well, fun fact about Ninja Turtles, technically, the accident that gave Daredevil his powers, same accident that turned the Ninja Turtles into Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you've told me that before.
Yeah. And they can't
take place in the same universe.
They can't say that because they're owned by different companies. But if you go back and read the original Ninja Turtles comic, it's heavily implied that it was the same chemical spill.
That's funny.
I'm trying to think, are there any? We didn't do a lot of high school mischief.
We were pretty Gil and I were pretty well behaved.
So was I.
Yeah.
You just looked like you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
remember my eyes were so baggy because I never slept.
Yeah.
So our dad sat me down and asked me if I did drugs. I was just tired all the time.
I think they asked me too. They're like, "What's going on with the one?" I'm like, "I think he's just tired."
One time,
I still have them.
I played tennis in high school, and every spring was a big struggle because I would sneeze so much from the allergies. There was one day it was so bad that I didn't think I'd be able to play in like an actual match, like a competitive match that we had. So our dad brought me. I was just like, "Can someone bring me allergy medicine?" And I didn't really know the difference between them at the time. So he brought me Benadryl.
Oh no!
Just super drowsy. So I took it, and it helped with the allergies, and I won my match. But then after, I felt all like loopy and tired, and I was like, "Dad, I like how this Benadryl feels." And he goes, "You're not allowed to take that anymore."
I remember we all went snowboarding once, and I was like, I had allergies, and you told me you had some meds, and then you accidentally gave me Benadryl before a day on the slopes.
So it didn't occur to me I might be sharing this bottle with you, but so I had this one substance that dilates your pupils and makes you sweaty.
It was topical.
Yeah. No, I had a Zyrtec bottle, and some of it was Zyrtec, but then which is just the little white ones, but then there's like the bright pink ones, which in my head just everyone knows is Benadryl, but obviously that's not true. It's, you know.
Yeah, I started going down the hill and I woke up at the bottom.
Yeah, right. He fell asleep on the ski lift and just kept going around and around in circles.
By the way, Stovepipe Down Tube. He says, "I still can't believe these guys are 3 separate dudes." And I always explain it that way to people who ask me if I get along with my brothers and everything, or what are your brothers like. I say that they really are like clones of me.
Luckily, you like yourself.
That's right. And I don't like being myself, but I like being around other copies of myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm great to get. I'm like a type O blood, where everybody.
You can donate to anyone.
I can donate to anyone, but as everyone knows, type O suffers quietly. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Type you're not very
O
quiet.
for lonely.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what it's like. I can't say anymore. We'll get a copyright claim.
Yeah.
Where are we going with that?
Well, that's a cover.
Just hijinks.
You still have to get a license for it.
Oh.
High school hijinks. All right, I have a question. So, you remember when you were a kid and you would play soccer, they would do shirts versus skins.
Yeah.
If it was like a pick-up impromptu game.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
A little bit.
I have a question I want to get. Now that we've got some people in the chat here, I want to get your opinions. But I was a little larger as a child.
A little husky.
And honestly, if you want to know why, it's because I thought orange juice was healthy.
Yeah.
I would drink literally a carton a day probably. So I was large. And I was always terrified that I would be put on the skins team. And I never wanted to be on the skins side. Thankfully, somehow by coincidence, the coach, in the 100 times we must have played, never assigned me to skins.
Maybe it was intentional.
That's
he
my
took pity
question.
on you, definitely.
Was it intentional? Here, I'm going to say.
It was either he felt sorry for you or he felt sorry for everyone else.
I'm not going to give any context to people joining late, but for those of you that were here for the question, I want to run this poll. Was it on purpose?
That's funny.
B-Dub is asking a couple times, you guys watch Kenobi? Alon?
Kid, no.
Nice.
Is that a reference?
He's saying no, he doesn't watch it. Kenobi?
Kid, no.
Oh, I got it.
Are you watching Kenobi?
No.
Yeah.
You watched an episode.
I am watching. I watched the first 3 episodes. I'll say this. Just like anything else in the Star Wars universe, it is entertaining at times. Laser swords. They're fighting. They're shooting at each other. Some of the effects are cool. And just like everything in the Star Wars universe, anytime the characters are talking or storytelling.
Anytime it's an episode that isn't the first or last of the season.
Well, this one actually, it's not doing any kind of story of the week approach.
Oh,
It is
okay.
all connected. But
I
yeah,
was so disappointed when I realized Mandalorian wasn't really that continuous.
same. Yeah, I was actually into Mandalorian
Me
at
too.
first.
The first like 2 episodes,
impressed.
I was pretty hooked.
Yeah, and then anytime they do the story of the week, which people have responded to that and said that's what the show is. It's a different story every week.
Yeah,
that's not a fault.
That's fine.
The problem is that that's hard to pull off because you need to get us to care about this new set of circumstances and do all of that within 20 to 30 minutes. It just, for that show, usually doesn't work for me. I am continuing to watch Kenobi as a treadmill show. So if I need something to watch while I'm running that I don't need to pay too much attention to, I'll put it on then. Yeah, Lieutenant Dirk, watching it after Better Call Saul is definitely not fair for Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, watching pretty much anything after that is not fair.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people say stuff like that. What else can we possibly watch after Better Call Saul?
Anime.
Yeah,
that's true, yeah.
I can't think of many other things like Attack on Titan. Please, no one say anything about Attack on Titan in the chat. I'm begging you.
Yeah, I know. But there are a lot of show recommendations I see that people say these are great shows, and I just haven't watched them. Probably the number one recommendation I hear is Succession.
I hear that
I hear
a
it's
lot.
great. I've never watched it.
I hear Ozark too. But, okay, the problem is when I hear the same recommendation. So Better Call Saul, you don't hear everyone coming up to you saying you got to watch Better Call Saul, right?
Yeah, I don't
It's
hear
sort of-
anybody talk about
which
it
is
in real
odd
life.
because everyone knows Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul is somehow a little more under the radar. And just like my favorite show, Game of Thrones, which I say that ironically, but no, it took me. I didn't start watching it until like 3 seasons in because I was sick of everyone telling me I should watch it,
Right.
and it made me not want to watch it.
Yeah.
And so I have that feeling towards Succession.
Mm-hmm.
People keep talking about it and makes me say, it's like too popular.
Right.
And I'm not trying even to be a hipster where I think like, oh, I'm only cool if I watch shows no one watches. It's just when I know that one show is watched by a lot of people, I don't have a very high opinion of the average person. So it makes me think the show can't be that good.
Well,
and then this is why the viewers at home call me a bummer, right?
That's right.
We
Yeah.
can get into that later.
Adam has been called a bummer on multiple occasions
Yeah.
recently.
Well, listen, the hipsters are like they all watch the same mainstream stuff now. So really, you'd be a rebel by going against the mainstream.
That's a good
'Cause you
point.
said
Yeah.
you're not trying to be
That's
a hipster,
true.
But I will
That's why
say,
next I'm going to watch The Bachelor.
there you go. The Bachelor.
I have watched The Bachelor.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular show.
Yeah.
I've never been to one of the, I hear that people
You've never
get
been on The Bachelor?
I've never been. Well, we actually met.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys met
we
Hannah
met
G.
Yeah, Hannah G.
Okay, here's a fun Hannah G story. For those of you who don't know Hannah G,
I was rooting for Hannah G in the season that I watched with my friend.
she's a very famous person that we met, and could you say we hung out with her?
A little bit. We hung out
Yeah.
with her at a rooftop, well, almost rooftop bar.
Yeah,
and in the elevator.
That's right,
I popped
one
a
year-
balloon in her ear.
Oh, you spoiled the punchline.
All right, no one heard it. Keep going.
No, but one year we decided to splurge for New Year's Eve, go to like not a club, but I would say was it a club? Club atmosphere.
Club-esque.
We had like a table, bottle
Yeah.
service, that kind of thing. We don't do it all the time. We decided to splurge.
This is how the
one year.
OneTake posse rolls. It's like
Yeah, that's
Entourage.
So if you were on the 100K live stream last week, you basically know what I'm talking about. It was that vibe. Anyway, we were all sitting
Kinda
there.
was.
And yeah, it really was. We have all the lasers over here that just turned off. But we see, I didn't recognize her because I've never watched The Bachelor, but it was pointed out to us, that's Hannah G. And some members of the group we were with went and talked to her and stuff. And then on the elevator on the way down, so we were in the elevator with her, very close and closed space. And I happened to blurt out, I forget why, that, I've never done the thing where you take a helium balloon, suck in the air, and then talk in a
Well,
high
you probably mentioned it because we had a helium balloon with us
Right,
in the
so
elevator.
we had it, but why was I telling Hannah G this? That's kind of what I don't remember.
Maybe you thought it'd be funny.
I guess that's why.
Yeah.
So I did it for the story so I could talk about it right now. But I tell Hannah G from The Bachelor that
Wait, can we just... It's so unexpected that Gil would have a conversation publicly for the amusement of others.
that's right. Wait.
Huh?
Oh, that's what we're doing right
That's
now.
what we're doing.
Yeah, okay. For some reason, as you were saying that, I was like, I wonder what the poll results are. So I just stopped paying attention to you. So I'm in the elevator with Hannah G from The Bachelor, and I tell her, I've never sucked in helium from a balloon and talked in a high-pitched voice. And she's like, well, you should try.
She was like really surprised that
Yeah.
you've never done it.
And she was really excited about like me trying this out. And so Alon takes the helium balloon and he tries to undo it. So
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
but we didn't have.
You gotta stretch it and make a tiny little slit.
Yeah.
With your
Well, yeah.
teeth.
You're supposed to do it with your teeth, but Gil didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And what am I going?
It
I'm going
does
to do it
sound
and
like
then
the thing
transfer it to Gil.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I tried to quickly rip it open, which made no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the balloon exploded in Hannah G's ear.
Yeah,
Face.
and she
And then it ruined her
actually
career.
looked really irked
Oh yeah.
about it.
I saw in an
I
interview.
thought she didn't laugh.
No, because it was so sudden and such
oh.
close proximity. I bet you she didn't mean to look annoyed.
Yeah.
But I mean, it happened so suddenly.
I read in an interview recently where she was
apologize.
like, I'm partially deaf in my left ear. By the way, let's check in on the poll here. 81% say yes. And I have to say I probably agree with that. And I appreciate it too, to be honest.
Yeah, but how many of those people that voted knew the context of the question?
I don't know. Here, should I run another poll?
No.
How many knew the context?
that?
JP, thank you for the $2. You're a superhero for asking this, for giving this super chat. He says, watch Cowboy Bebop or Bojack Horseman.
We've seen all of Bojack.
Right.
And I've seen the first episode of Cowboy Bebop.
And you enjoyed it, right?
I
Anime
did.
or the live action?
No, anime.
Yeah.
Bojack Horseman, I really liked at the time I watched it, but I will say that is a show that just loves misery. It's one of those shows, like if you remember the show House, which I enjoyed that show, but that show plays a weird game of you like the main character because he's miserable. So the show has to keep finding new ways to seem like he's going to get better and then make him miserable again. And it just, in a way, it feels like you're romanticizing the idea of being really depressed. And I feel like Bojack Horseman kind of does that. I will say this, though. I feel like it very accurately captures the experience. And it's a great show, but just know going in what you're signing up for.
If you're already depressed, don't watch it.
But if you're not already depressed, I don't know if you'll enjoy watching it.
What about Barry?
Barry. Okay, Barry. Love the first 2 seasons of Barry. Here's my problem with season 3, which I would say has been hit or miss. The last episode, last night, I actually thought was a pretty solid episode. Here's the tough thing with that show. It is part comedy and part drama / suspense. But
Maybe tell people about the show.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, if you don't know the show Barry, it's
Tell folks at home.
Yeah, tell the folks at home. So the show stars Bill Hader, but he's also pretty active behind the scenes. He wrote a lot of the episodes, directed a lot of them, and I think was a co-creator of the show. It's basically about a hitman who decides to retire and become an actor. So it's pretty funny watching this hitman try to be an actor. But at the same time, it can also get pretty intense, dramatic, and suspenseful. Now, the thing is, Better Call Saul is also part comedy, part suspense. But the comedy takes place in the real world.
Rooted in realism.
Exactly. It's not reality-breaking comedy. Like I would say, if you watch a Will Ferrell or an Adam Sandler movie, those movies are not trying to be real. They are doing funny things that would never happen in the real world. For me, Barry, in the first 2 seasons, the comedy was like 80% rooted in reality. Like there is something funny about watching this super serious hitman taking an acting class. Or when he's basically suffering from PTSD and talking about his horrible experiences. They're so insane, people think he's putting on an act, and then they end up thinking he's a great actor. That's kind of where the comedy came from. For me, season 3 is starting to delve more into reality-breaking comedy. Season 2 did it a bit with that one episode.
The girl.
The little
the
girl that was
kid.
like jumping on
Yeah, there's like a 7-year-old girl who's a crazy assassin, and one of the characters is yelling like, "What are you? You're a monster!"
Right.
And I just rolled my eyes that whole episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that show has been losing me in the 3rd season. Hit or miss, hits enough that I'm still watching it, but you've pretty much jumped ship, right?
Yeah, I have a very low tolerance for shows that I don't like to watch a show that I feel like I have to stick with it and give it the benefit of the doubt, because there's no reason to, with a show that's still currently on TV where it's not over and everyone's saying, no, trust me, stick with it, it's worth watching to the end. It could just keep getting worse, and you could end up just wasting a bunch of your time or getting invested in getting hurt.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather let you
Like
guys.
you've
sounded
been
like-
too many times.
You sound,
Like I'm getting choked up.
I heard a crack in your voice.
heard that
You're
too.
like,
So like Barry's at the point where if you guys were watching it last night, if I went to bed early, if I had gotten up for some midnight M&Ms or something, I wouldn't worry about seeing spoilers. I just wouldn't care.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about that anymore. Yeah. Here's the thing. I do think it's still good enough to watch, because it's a comedy. If it was purely a serious show with the quality that's at right now, I would say don't bother.
I guess I was watching it. So I watch Better Call Saul not because it's a comedy. I watch it because it's a great show that happens to have a lot of humor in it. I felt that way about Barry. I think Barry had more humor.
Yeah.
Right.
But not that much more. And it was still like I was genuinely interested in seeing what would happen with the character, especially because the plot wasn't mostly driven by, hey, let's figure out how to make this show as funny as possible. It was driven by serious, tense situations and serious, like, ethical decisions that Barry had to make.
Right.
And so I was curious what would happen. But once the show started becoming kind of absurd and felt kind of dumb, I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah, yep. I feel like they could just integrate comedy organically. Like, just think, okay, if these were real characters in real life, no matter what situation you're in, somebody in real life cracks a joke at some point. Not every situation, like maybe not a funeral.
Right.
But maybe even at a funeral, to ease tension. Like if you're going to war with your buddies, someone's cracking a joke, even though it's war. So why don't you just write a serious show and add comedic elements organically?
Or
it would be funny.
I mean, for me, what made Barry, even on the comedic side, so special is that I felt like the comedy came from the collision of the two worlds, of this super serious hitman world colliding with the acting world. That's where a lot of the comedy came from. Once they stray away from that, sometimes I feel like I'm watching a bad romantic comedy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm going to say, this season, half the show focuses on his the girl.
Yeah.
And so far, it has nothing to do with Barry's storyline. Maybe they'll interconnect at some point, but the show's called Barry. I'm interested in Barry's character. So all this stuff just feels like a completely different show.
Right.
And just to Michael Curtis's point, I know anti-Barry sentiment isn't very popular. I will say the three of us all really liked the first two seasons.
Yeah.
But also, we keeps it real on OneTake.
That's right.
And here's the thing.
And also, we all have very similar opinions most of the time. So it's not, I don't want it to sound like we're all piling onto it because we may as well be one person talking.
Right.
Well, why don't, here, tell us, do you think that the show has felt consistent from season 1 through now? Or do you agree with us that the feeling of the first 1.5 seasons was better? Let us know. I'm curious.
All right, let's sit here and wait for an answer. Look, we keep it real here. Like, here, I'm going to be honest right now. Better Call Saul, I never liked the show. I just wanted the clicks. By the way, I just remembered one thing I wanted to mention, where you were talking about how when enough people tell you to watch something, it makes you not want to watch it. I think we all have a little bit of that ingrained in us. If someone tells you to do something, even if you think you should do it, you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've been thinking about shaving my beard. The only reason I haven't yet is because about 3 or 4 weeks ago, someone commented that I should shave it, but they did it in a way of, like, demanding that I shave it. Like, shave the beard already. The phase is over. No one cares about beards anymore. And so I've kept it. But now I'm thinking about shaving it, actually.
I started the trend in our family, I think. Am I right?
I think
go ahead, take credit. Go ahead.
I think you kind of did, but I sort of independently got there.
Oh, by the way, I want to acknowledge Silver Walrus, who says, can't you say the same about Better Call Saul? It has had 2 storylines that have been pretty separate for most of the time. I agree with you. And actually, I was going to disagree, Alon, where I don't think that's an issue necessarily. The only question is, are you enjoying both storylines equally? I would say this season, her storyline is where I'm seeing some of the comedy come in. Comedy's very subjective, and for me, it just is not making me laugh. The example,
I think Maud Mary hit the nail on the head with
what
the
did Maud Mary
Barry
say?
criticisms.
Maud Mary, Barry season 3 has been a letdown. They don't know what to do with Barry. I can't stand Sally. Yeah, I don't even necessarily agree with that. Actually, I like the Sally.
I agree with that.
I still like the Sally character. What I don't like is everyone surrounding her. Like,
I agree with that.
So here's an example of a comedy that is not making me laugh. Or here's 2 examples. One, when they're talking to somebody who works at the show's version of Netflix, basically. And she's like, right now, the show is making us say, but we want the show to make us say,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It just
that
doesn't
wasn't
make me
funny.
laugh. Or the other one where...
It seems like humor that's designed for people in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know? For like... It's like a New Yorker cartoon. It's like it's not really going to make 99% of the population laugh.
Right, exactly. Or there was another joke. This one was actually part of the Barry storyline where a character is being chased and you see one dog run after him. And then suddenly 50 dogs go after him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was
And I'm like,
stupid.
I don't know. That just feels like slapstick.
Well, no. And then you see the two people like on a date or something. And
she's like breaking up with her. And she's like, why are you breaking up with me? She's like, you have too many dogs.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's just
I don't
not
know.
funny.
what
Like
joke-
that literally sounds like the caption that would be under a dumb New
Family
Yorker.
Circle.
Yeah, it's a
Circus.
Family Circus. Or
I
something
can't
like that.
never remember.
Yeah.
Let me
exactly.
tell you a joke I did like. This guy, he's like just talking to this guy trying to get information, and then the guy just ignoring him, just slowly like setting something up. He's like turning something into like a pipe into another thing, and the guy just standing there like, and then he just goes, just blows his dart into his neck, and right before he passes out, he's like, you know, that's what I thought you were doing, but I didn't want to be rude. And then he just knocks out. Like, that was funny.
The funny thing is,
I know. That's
is
the kind of comedy I'm talking about.
That's reality breaking comedy. So I guess I have to work on my theory here of why some of these jokes don't work.
If
for
it's
me.
clever enough.
you gotta check season 1 and 2 out again and see like
You know what it
if
is?
it fits that or not.
Some of it is stupid humor. It's just stupid. There's like a level to that. It's a little clever. It's clever.
Right.
It's a clever joke.
I mean, I like a lot of stupid humor in a lot of cases. So
You like all the toilet humor in Better Call Saul.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Just to reply once more to Michael Curtis, who says it's like he's watching a different Barry and it's critically acclaimed for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, good point. Like we might be in the minority, and I like
Impossible.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad you still like it, and also these two definitely are still more into it than I am. And like for everyone's sake, I hope it delivers on what you're looking for.
I mean,
and I hope I get convinced to start watching it again.
I mean, we're obviously in the minority. Like our friends, like I've talked with some of our friends about this.
They think you're crazy,
and they think I'm crazy. Like they're like, the show's hilarious, and that's my problem. I'm like they're trying to be too hilarious,
right?
With bad jokes.
I guess we're wrong.
I love the concept, and I hope they rein it back in a little bit.
Yeah.
Season 1 was amazing.
By the way, I think I'm gonna hide.
I mean, listen, I know NoHo Hank is a really reality breaking character,
funny.
but he's so good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Stash House.
He seems like a weirdo. Like,
yeah.
Maybe he's consistent though. I don't know. I'm trying to
talk
convince
about,
myself that he could exist in real life.
What about we got Vic Disco, loyal?
Oh, Vic Disco, yeah.
Loyal one.
Vic, who joined us
Watcher.
when we were talking about Dark. Vic is a big Dark fan. I don't know if
He's
you're
in
aware of that.
Korea right now. He's teaching in Korea. That's cool.
Oh, very cool. Hey guys, can't chat much as I'm teaching right now over here in Korea. I'm sure you guys
he's
have seen
probably
the new,
just starting the workday.
That's right, the new trailers for 1899.
Oh.
So you guys haven't
saw
seen
it.
it yet.
I watched it.
We
did?
saw
Okay.
it, yeah.
So basically, if you're unaware, the creators of Dark have created a new production studio actually, and are using that to create a new show called 1899, which should be premiering sometime later this year. And they finally released a trailer today. Having watched the trailer, to me, it looks like it is going to be a very similar vibe as Dark. It's
Even down to having like cryptic symbols that repeat themselves and stuff.
triangle
like that.
symbol
Yeah,
specifically.
but like I'm into it because those are some of the things about Dark that really drew me in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even want to spoil it by saying who the actor is from Dark, but I like that they brought back one of the main actors.
Yeah, he's a character I liked in Dark, so I'm happy to see that actor come back.
And so to those asking, well, what current shows do we like? I mean, Dark just ended like a year ago. We all were pretty big fans of that.
Yeah, so the only answer is
a German show that ended a year ago.
Yeah, well, I think it ended 2 years ago.
We started an anime, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, though even that we're not loving.
I know.
Just,
yeah, but we got to get back into it.
But, anyway, on the trailer though, I'm pretty excited. I think someone could watch it and their criticism could be, I don't know, it looks really similar to Dark. I'm fine with that.
Silver Walrus says that they tried to get into Dark, but it hurt their brain.
Do I have the channel for you?
You gotta watch Gil's video.
Yeah, he explains
That'll
everything.
That's right, yeah.
Seriously, he breaks down everything you need to
Yeah,
know.
Dark was the first time I did that for a show. Like back when Lost was on, I was a pretty passive viewer of it. I didn't sit there and try and theorize. I listened to some people's theories, but I didn't take notes. I didn't try to connect dots. Dark is a show where I literally have pages and pages of spreadsheets, which I use to try and piece together what happened on that show as backup for the videos I was making.
Well, and you'd have these diagrams that made you look like a crazy person that you were like drawing down on paper, and you were taking pictures and putting them into your videos.
Oh, yeah. You can see them in the videos. I think I put a few of them on Instagram.
You were like Charlie trying to figure out who's Pepe Silvia on the wall.
Yeah, 100%. And based off the trailer and based off of what they're saying in interviews, I have a feeling that I'll do the same thing for 1899. Because they are saying that they realize the puzzle aspect was a big part of what people liked about Dark. Yeah. What I liked about Dark, though, is that the puzzle wasn't the only thing you were there for. There was also just a great story that you could be invested in without understanding all the details.
Even just like the atmosphere of it was a really good combination of like a bleak and desolate, but also very like heartfelt, which is an odd combo that doesn't sound like you could even combine the two, and yet it came out really well.
Yeah, another thing, I love when things get too crazy, like these like so many Marvel movies about the end of the world, like this one villain's trying to destroy the world. Dark, it's like this really like interesting sci-fi element, but it's focused on just a small group of people, which I think when it's a smaller story and you like these are just humans with feelings and stuff. It combined with the sci-fi, I think it's much more
easier to get invested and feel and believe in the stakes.
Yeah.
By the way, I can't believe I forgot about this, but someone in the chat brought up Severance as a good show worth checking out.
That's true.
Yeah, I did really enjoy Severance. So I recommend that. That's also a show that ended, though, a few weeks ago, so I can't say I'm currently watching it.
I agree with the person. I can't see it right now, but someone in the chat said every time they hear 1899, they think it's the spinoff of Yellowstone, which is what happened to me. I kept mixing the two up.
Yeah, that's funny.
One person mentioned Last of Us.
You just played through Last of Us 2 for the first time.
Yeah, but that was weeks ago. Like everything.
So it's also not a TV show yet.
Yeah. I'll answer for you on if you're going to cover it. If it's good enough.
Right.
I think we don't want to just be a channel that makes videos hating on shows. Maybe during the live stream we'll talk about stuff we hate.
Right.
But why are you going to invest so much time into something you don't like? So let's wait for it to come out.
I don't know. I watched a lot of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, how can you hate something you once loved?
Yeah, I love the George R.R. Martin quote where he's like, I don't understand how people could hate something they once loved so much. Yeah.
Well, have you ever heard?
Says the guy who wrote books that are every single book is about betrayal.
Have you heard of divorce?
Well, he's divorced.
Oh. Well, I guess he can't understand it. Yeah.
He's like, I don't understand how this happened to me.
By the way, I'm thinking about, here we go. I've got something that will tie everything we've talked about so far together in a nice bow. A few people in the chat are asking about Obi-Wan. Other people are asking about shows that we like. Well, you know who recently showed up in Obi-Wan? That you wouldn't have recognized him because he was playing an alien. Zach Braff.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Zach Braff.
It was weird because I hear this alien's voice and I think, oh, it's Seth Rogen. That's weird. And then I Google Seth Rogen Obi-Wan and they're like, who's the actor that everyone thinks is Seth Rogen on Obi-Wan? And it was Zach Braff doing a funny voice, which if you listen back to it and you know it's him, you can recognize that it's him. Huh. But apparently they did a Scrubs reunion, and that's why I was saying shows that we like. We used to love Scrubs.
That's true. Although, as soon as you said Scrubs reunion, my first thought was, oh my God, there's no way that's good.
well, it's a reunion, like a panel at a Comic-Con.
I hate this term because I feel like back in the day, I might be wrong, but if they would say a reunion of a show, you would think they're coming back for one more episode or a Christmas special or something.
Right.
But reunion just means they're meeting it up they're hanging out in a circle just talking about it.
So
I like that Zach Braff and who plays Turk again?
Faison?
Yeah.
Turk and JD?
Yeah,
Donald?
Exactly.
I never know how to
Donald
pronounce
Faison. Yeah. I like that they're actually like best friends in real life.
Yeah.
So that must have been a fun panel to watch.
It was so at the panel though, they asked about a reboot, and Bill Lawrence, the showrunner, he said, "Yeah, we're going to do a reboot."
Oh, wow.
We all want to do it. Everybody wants it. and it's just a matter of scheduling. And by the way, Bill Lawrence is also relevant to this whole conversation at hand, because one show that people keep telling us to watch that we haven't watched, Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah.
And Bill Lawrence is, I think, a co-creator on that show. So we need to watch that. But Scrubs, would you be interested in a reboot?
I'd check it out. I stopped watching Scrubs for the last couple seasons. I think probably after like season 4, if I recall.
Yeah.
But those first 4 were very good.
I remember that show had a very distinct
It was a
point.
very sudden drop off. Once,
Yeah.
was it like
JD
Rachel
left,
McAdams
or Zach Braff, didn't he?
What's that?
Didn't Zach Braff leave?
Yeah, that was late. That was
okay.
season 9 or something.
There's a famous actress joined the cast. I think it's like Rachel McAdams.
I'm not sure. I don't remember that.
But I just remember it's not. I'm not blaming her, but that's just what I remember is the season that she was in, which I think is season 5.
Yeah.
Awfully coincidental.
Totally went downhill.
She just got a call. OneTake said, "What about me?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because it wasn't between seasons. I remember halfway through season 4, they took a hiatus for a few weeks or a few months.
I hope this doesn't bode poorly for
And
Better Call
when
Saul.
it came back, I just remember it was not the same show. I don't know what happened. I wonder why that happens to some shows, because it's the same writers, it's the same actors, and it just changes something about it. But those early seasons I really liked.
But yeah, I'll check out the reboot. I mean, I loved Scrubs so much when it was first on. I feel like I owe it to at least check out the reboot.
Yeah.
Even though I could have said the same thing about Dexter and I didn't. So I don't know.
Don't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dexter also lasted, in terms of being good, also lasted about the same number of seasons.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually, almost to the number. Yeah, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, so that got me curious. Like, what is Zach Braff up to these days? And I thought back nostalgically and fondly to Garden State when that movie came out. See, that's interesting because apparently the internet turned on Garden State.
Really?
Yeah, if you look it up, you'll see a lot of articles that say. I saw one that was titled, "This is the 10-year anniversary. This is the 10-year anniversary of realizing Garden State sucked."
Huh.
For the male viewers who had a predatory perversion for questionably aged, borderline.
Yeah, that's why I liked it.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
There was the film's male fantasy projection canvas, Natalie Portman.
Sounds
Was
like
it predatory if I liked
retroactive.
it when I was like 14?
People call it a hipster and whiny cliche.
Again, it makes
Heavy-handed.
sense why I liked it at the time.
Cringy.
I don't think I ever saw it. Now I want to watch it.
Yeah, I am curious to rewatch it and see if I still enjoy it or if I'm going to agree with everybody
Are
else.
you gonna be predatory or something?
Well, basically, this is how it
lost
works.
track of all those
so, like Alon said,
arguments.
I usually like to keep things positive here. So, if I don't like a show, I usually don't talk about it. So, if you never hear me mention Garden State again, because I watched it and I agreed with this Vice article
What
here.
about Lovecraft Country? So that's a funny. This is when Gil was still figuring out his identity as a YouTube
Right.
personality.
Lovecraft Country was interesting because that was the one time where I stopped talking about a show where I got so many follow-ups. People were messaging me on Instagram, Twitter, and asking me if I was going to continue, which was interesting to me because by the 4th review I did, I wasn't being super positive on the show. And people were like, "Why are you talking about it if you don't even like it?" And I was like, it's a good point. Like, it's not fun for me to every week talk about, this was pretty good. It's not really for me, or I didn't like that part. It's not fun.
Right. And it's like, if it's not for you, why are you watching it every week and doing a show about it?
Yeah, but even after that, I guess people still wanted to hear it. I guess there's still an audience for. I mean, clearly there's an audience for negative coverage of TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but we
listen,
like to be. We want to be positive.
Yeah. Sometimes
we
I
can.
like to watch YouTube channels that just complain about like Star Wars and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But do I want to invest my energy into producing the same type of content? I don't know. Probably not.
I think I could do it.
I think
right.
you could pull it off. Yeah, I think you'd have some joy in that. Actually, that would fit nicely with the comments we've been getting about you. But it was so funny because after one of our Better Call Saul live streams, I see a comment that says, "Don't have Adam on." That's my favorite part. Is it's not feedback. It's don't have him on. He's a bummer. I forget exactly what he's. Oh, I took a screenshot of it. Yeah.
And conveniently, this all happened after I made an announcement on a Better Call Saul live stream, which is I'm not looking at comments anymore. There's too many spoilers.
Yeah, he went on kind of a rant.
So everyone thought like, oh, Dad isn't home. We can say whatever we want about it.
People make these comments like we're not brothers who are very close, and you could just
Well,
kick us off your show.
Oh yeah. We might live together, but I just have to stand on the side.
You're about to can I come on? Girl's like,
I hear something going on, and I'm like, wait, are you recording right now? No, nothing.
Yeah.
guys.
Alon and I are sitting in the closet like, okay, what do you think of Better Call Saul tonight?
Lalo. I can't believe what happened.
So this is my favorite. Okay. And the best part about this comment is that I started writing a reply. Like normally, if it's a negative comment, I don't bother replying to it. But I just felt like I had to stand up for you.
Thank you.
But before I could reply, he deleted his comment. So I guess he realized, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
And I have an army of people out there apparently defending me for me.
That's true. Yeah. So there was a more recent comment.
Adam Army.
It's getting to my head, I think.
Okay. So here's the more recent one. Then I'll go to the older one. The more recent one was the guy Skyping in is a major bummer. Which, by the way, you had to wake up.
I literally
2 a.m.
woke up. I went to bed I was on vacation, and I didn't want to. I was in Paris, first time ever in Europe. I didn't want to cut my adventures short one day and be like, well, I got to go to bed at early at 8 because I have to wake up at 3 to watch Better Call Saul so that I can do a podcast at 4 and then literally not sleep again the rest of the day, which I ended up basically getting 1 hour's sleep. I woke up to do this show because I love it and I'm committed to it, and this is the thanks I get.
Well, it's too bad that you're off because you're off the show because if you don't leave, Evan's not going to watch anymore.
He's going to come back. He's going to keep watching.
All right, so by the way, Evan, I can tell he said LMAO.
I know.
Disown him from the family.
It's just I've been there. I've been there where I've dealt with celebrity. Not that we're celebrities.
This is really going to your head, man.
No, but I have dealt with somebody that
He's got an army and you're a celebrity.
Everyone give us $5 each in the chat right now.
No.
I just mean...
In fact, we'll give everyone in the chat $5.
There's a screen, and right now, Evan is watching us on a screen.
Yeah.
And I assume he enjoys our content.
Yeah.
So I also have enjoyed the content of people that I've watched on a screen. And I actually got the opportunity to interact with them, and I made a joke, and they didn't get that I was joking, and it haunted me for
this
months.
is the 24 phone call?
No, it was worse. This was my favorite podcast.
I
is Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Yeah.
And I called in.
We've been obsessive listeners for literally 10 years.
That is my favorite content. I love Breaking Bad, but I have a sacred bond with this podcast. I just love it.
They feel like your best friends.
Exactly. Yeah. And I somehow accidentally insulted them.
Yeah.
I couldn't listen for months after that. I was so upset. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure the same thing didn't happen to Evan here.
First you piss off the actors on 24. Then you piss off your favorite podcast host ever. And now you piss off Evan.
Next you're going to pop a balloon in Tony Dalton's
ear. And you piss off Hannah G.
Okay, so here's the more recent comment. The guy Skyping in is a major bummer. Don't have him on next time. But yeah, 2 or 3 people came to your defense. And they're like, you must be new here. That's Adam, and Adam is awesome.
And he's our friend.
I don't know why I'm saying that in a voice of I agree with that. You are awesome.
No, it sounds like they're indignant toward this
guy.
That's how I read it.
Which, by the way, I don't mind. The negative comments don't hurt me.
It made our night, actually. It's pretty funny. But here's the...
Are you asking to be roasted?
A little bit. I mean, I like the attention. That's the thing.
Okay, here's the other one.
Attention is good attention.
This one I think is going to... remember when your voice was cracking before?
I was
talking about Game of Thrones? This is going to get you. Not trying to be negative. Not trying to be negative.
Oh, okay.
He's not trying.
But could do without Adam next one. Not very entertaining personality. But I get a vibe that everything revolves around him in his mind. That part's true, actually. I feel like.
Yeah.
Isn't that how every mind works?
I feel like if your mind doesn't work that way, there's.
Yeah, I mean,
wrong.
Is there anybody out there that feels like they're in another person's mind?
I actually remember. You just gave me a flashback. Someone was asking for high school hijinks. I remember seeing a TV show or a movie where one character yelled at the other, all you care about is yourself, or something like that. And I remember I wanted to say that to you. And I think I phrased
you
it
thought
weird.
it was such a good line.
Yeah, I was like saving it. I was like, the only thing that you care about that anybody even, all you care about is yourself. And I couldn't get it out right. But anyway, I got it out. I said it to you. And you were like, yeah, obviously. And I was like, huh, interesting. Yeah.
Okay, but what does any of this have to do with me?
Yeah,
all you care about is yourself.
Yeah. But I wonder what did I? Is it just that I express so much? I talk a lot about my emotions when it comes to these shows. Like
you went on like a 5-minute rant about how upset you were about spoilers and things like that.
Yeah, I guess I could see why it seems like everything's about me, because I'm basically asking. I mean, we had 1,200 people in the stream at the time,
right? So
I'm calling on 1,200 people to dance around my own personal needs.
Right.
The Atom Army, exactly.
But he deleted his comment, which I take as an unspoken apology.
No, he didn't delete the.
No, I deleted it.
Yeah, Adam deleted it. By the way, Lieutenant Dirk, thank you for the €5.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
I know. I only know because I was in Europe.
Oh, nice. Yeah. He says, one take every time. So I guess he's like quoting me here. When criticizing any TV show, instantly comparing it to Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, and praise Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul for doing everything better. Love it.
That's what you come here for.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I will say that show, both of those shows, I'm doing it right now. Both of those shows are special. And when you listen to the behind the scenes, you hear how much care they put into it.
Well, and sometimes I'll raise points where I'm like, I wonder if they thought about doing this instead or that. And then I'll be like, actually, on the Insider podcast, they did think about that, and here's why they didn't do it.
What do you think the boys on Saulcast are going to say about this?
Yeah. So I trust that it's being written by just incredibly thoughtful people who respect the audience.
Right.
And so far, they haven't broken that trust over the course of nearly 10 seasons of content they've created.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the end game now.
Right.
Like, so far, it looks like they have the writing skills to complete it these last few episodes the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we just have to pray they're not going to succumb to the desire to subvert expectations and do something none of us want. I mean, we know they have the skill.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, I trust them.
Yeah, I have a trust in these writers that I basically have. I think about this sometimes.
He doesn't even have trust in us like that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
I used to get really into certain directors and writers, and that's like the best way. When we were younger, everyone had their favorite actor or whatever. For me,
you're getting a lot of
just reading the.
I know.
Next time I want to talk about negative comments I'm getting, so I can get this kind of self.
Right?
What's the word I'm looking for?
Flagellation.
No, that's when you lick yourself.
Aggrandizement.
Aggrandizement.
See, I'm smart too.
Yeah. If you want to watch good stuff, figure out who's writing and directing that stuff. So you used to have go-to directors where, just like the Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul team, I would trust everything they make and I would be so excited to see it. I don't really have a lot of those these days. Like, it used to be Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson was going to be my first kind of early example.
Tired of it, Even though
his movies are still good, but they're very similar.
They don't feel novel anymore.
Yeah. Actually, I liked Isle of Dogs.
I still need to see that.
That felt a little different.
What was the one about the hotel?
Grand Budapest Hotel.
Grand Budapest Hotel. Owned on Blu-ray. Really like that movie, but I don't rush out to see them in theaters the way I used to.
Now you got S. Craig Zoller.
S. Craig Zoller, yeah. And he actually does a lot of the things Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, the stuff they talk about doing as part of their process. S. Craig Zoller does similar techniques. Like, for example, the focus on detail. So if you don't know S. Craig Zoller, the biggest movie he's done you've probably heard of is Bone Tomahawk. And a couple things I love about it. One, it doesn't neatly fit into any genre. People will call it a sort of Western horror. And if you say that to him, he'll say, I wasn't thinking I'm writing a horror movie. Right. Because when you do that, even if it's only subconscious, you're going to start bringing in the rules of that genre. And for a great story, to me, usually feels as grounded in and I don't even want to say that, because there's plenty of movies that don't feel grounded in reality that are great, but you want it to feel like it's unshackled from anything.
Right.
It's just pure art.
If something transcends easy categorization, that's at least a good sign that it was written without artificial limitation.
Exactly.
And Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad do that to an extent. Is it a drama? Kind of, but not in the traditional sense, and it has a lot of comedy.
Right, and basically...
Is it an action? No, but it has a lot of action.
Exactly. So, and one thing that Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould have said, which really sounds similar to something S. Craig Zoller has said, is that they will let the characters kind of guide the story. So, for example, without spoiling anything, in case we have non-Saul viewers in the channel right now or on the chat, on the stream, Kim Wexler, her character has evolved significantly over the years. But when they first cast Ray Seahorn and created this character, they didn't know where she was going to go. They just watched the character evolve. They kept asking themselves, what would this character do? And they'd come up with an answer, even if they themselves couldn't logically explain why the character did that. They would just say, it feels right. And they would let that guide the story. S. Craig Zoller talks about doing the same thing. He lets the characters guide the story, and you can really feel it. And he also focuses on details a lot. For example, Bone Tomahawk it feels like a Western. It takes place in that time period. And at a certain point, characters are getting ready to go on an adventure to save somebody. And before they go, you see the character kind of ripping pieces of meat and cheese and putting them in a bag. You're watching him get ready to go. Reminded me of a Mike Erman Trout scene. You're just watching process. So
remember this, not Bone Tomahawk. What was the one where they were eating sandwiches in the car?
Dragged across concrete.
And he's halfway through the sandwich. He opens a salt packet and pours a little salt into it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I have done that before, and I've never seen that depicted on camera, because it's like what you can't. It's often impractical to open the sandwich and salt the whole thing, so you have to do little bits as you go, and then you take bites, and now you have a new layer that's unsalted. This was Mel Gibson, right?
Yeah, that's right. Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn. And S. Craig Zoller also has just a really interesting career where...
Jay Wilkes is right. That's what I was doing.
And he was taking screenshots to send people.
That is what I was doing.
I'm sitting here. I see Adam look down at his phone, and then he looks back up with this big grin on his face.
I knew I wasn't being too discreet about it.
He's like, Gil's probably going to erase all these comments after.
That's what I was worried about.
But I don't even remember how we got into this. But yeah, S. Craig Zoller is one of the few directors that I follow today where if he's coming out with a new movie, I'm psyched.
Do we know anything about his next
no
project?
questions asked. I'll see anything he makes. In fact, I want to know as little as possible going in.
Yeah, well, here, I'll tell you something about his next movie.
No, I just said no.
Yeah. But Park Chan-wook, the director of Oldboy, great South Korean movie. He is apparently collaborating with S. Craig Zoller on a movie. Hopefully that happens, but that would be two of my favorite creators on Earth coming together. That would be cool. Exciting. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, yeah, S. Craig Zoller. One more thing. His career is so interesting because no one heard about him until Bone Tomahawk a few years ago, but he's been active in Hollywood for 20 years. Maybe more than that. He's just been writing a ton of screenplays, and he sells them. They just don't get made. So he's made a living writing for Hollywood, but none of his movies have gotten made. And so I guess at a certain point, he was like, I'm just going to make it myself. And so he got the funding together for Bone Tomahawk. And that's how you get artistic freedom. And that's how you get to make a movie that doesn't cleanly fit into any genre. Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Jay Wilkes, I have the answer for you, actually. Anyone know who does the Mike Ehrmantraut voice on the Insider podcast? It's actually Mike Behrmantraut. So if you watch the Insider...
Really?
Yeah, the Insider...
That's his name.
No, I'll explain. So if you listen to the Better Call Saul Insider podcast, occasionally, if they're trying to remember something, they'll ask a question to sort of the Jamie of the podcast, as Jamie is to Joe Rogan. They're like, what was the name of that actor? And they go, Mike Behrmantraut. What was his name? And then you just hear, that would be Ray Seahorn. You just hear his voice. And if you see, they'll tweet pictures of them filming the Insider podcast, and it's over Zoom. So one of the squares is just a bear, and it's labeled Mike Behrmantraut, like a big teddy bear. Anyway, I forget the person's name now, but at the end of the podcast, they'll always thank this one guy, and they'll say, and for no particular reason, thank you to like Chris Kelly or something like that. And So that's who does the voice of Mike Behrman Trout. Always the one that tries
She's
to
very
get them.
handsome too.
She's the one who always tries to get them to actually talk about the show.
Yeah.
Like, if you listen to the first episode of the Insider podcast, she'll ask about the significance of a certain scene, and then like Peter Gould will interrupt to say, "Wait a minute, Bob Odenkirk, you learned how to make Cinnabons for this scene, right? Or cinnamon rolls?" Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to hear about that. So I think Kelly's actually great on the podcast. I feel like I was going to talk about something. Now I can't remember. Oh, yeah, Scrubs reboot. Well, actually, I think maybe we'll start to wrap up in a little bit. Because this was meant to be your reply. I saw a few people asking, and now that Better Call Saul is not around, like, what do we watch in the meantime? Like,
You watch us.
This is it, guys.
Yeah.
So,
and then when this is over, the three of us are going to sit down and watch it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we'll do an instant take about it. Yeah, so the part where Adam was looking at his phone, that was, I didn't buy into it. Felt a little unrealistic, a little bit of a cheat. But some of the episodes did go till like 10:06, so we can at least go for a few more minutes. I did see Jack. Jack is back. Jack, I hope you've been hitting the gym. That's what we talked about on the 100K live stream. Love, Death, and Robots is pretty good.
No, go ahead.
Love, Death, and Robots is pretty good. I actually agree with that. I haven't watched that show since it started. I think it's in season 3 now. But I've watched a few episodes of the new season. It's an anthology show, so I'm not going to like every episode. For me, I think I've watched 4, and I've liked 3 out of the 4. Especially Jabaro. Everyone loves the Jabaro episode. It's the last one. Pretty interesting.
That reminds me, in terms of shows that are currently on the air that we love, Arcane.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
that show is awesome.
Okay,
Really good.
great boy. Yeah, Arcane is an awesome show.
It hits all the good spots that a really good anime hits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just happens
well,
to be
it's
American.
so well done. Like everything, the story, the dialogue, the animation. The animation is
characters.
incredible.
Oh, actually, I should clear something up here. When we were doing our podcast about Arcane, I said, the animation looked so real. Like, I don't know if maybe they used motion capture or something. No, of course they didn't use motion. Someone told me they work in the animation industry, and that is actually quite insulting because all those animators worked very hard to capture the movie.
Isn't that a compliment?
That's what I
It's
said.
like saying
It
that
was so
painting is so
close.
good, it looks like a photo.
Well, so I said that. I was like, it looks so real. And he's like, it doesn't. See, that's actually even more insulting. He said, it doesn't look real, Gil. It looks believable. But I believe your heart was in a good place when you said it. So, but anyway, yeah, Arcane is a great show.
Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't mean for this to turn into like a defensive hour of just going through comments.
Kinda
Here's
like
why
that.
Yeah, no, this has been fun.
it's all been bottled up because we never talk about it. B-Dub, what is a cold open? Can someone explain? A cold open is when a show or a movie starts with a scene that is not directly connected to the scene that follows it. So oftentimes it'll be a flashback, it'll be a flash forward, or very often in a horror movie, the opening scene will be the killer killing somebody that's not directly related to the main plot of the movie. So see this person die, cut to the main character, and you follow their story.
And
That's a
then
cold
don't
open.
they-
Oftentimes, like halfway through or by the end of the episode or movie, you'll be like, oh, now I get what they were showing me at the beginning.
Yeah, sometimes I'll use a cold open to tease something that you come back to
Don't
later.
they call the opening to SNL the cold open?
I think they do, yeah.
Which is kind of weird because it's not, because
That's
it's just
different,
a
yeah.
skit, just like every other one. It's just
Right.
before the
But it's not a
intro.
skit. It's like somebody talking to the camera. Would you consider that a skit? Oh, no, I
like
see
a
what you're saying.
monologue.
No.
Well, it always ends with, it's Saturday Night Live or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then
And
the
live
guy
from New
comes
York, it's Saturday night.
out. Or does the guy come out before that? No, he comes out after that.
That guy,
whatever.
hold on, we gotta
Yeah,
check
who
something. Jay asks, "What is canon?" Canon is
We define everything. What is a OneTake?
well, Canon is a company that creates cameras
like this one.
and no,
yeah, this is a canon.
You can shoot
Yeah.
cannonballs out of it.
No, but in case it's a
All right,
serious
with
question.
that, yeah. In case it's a serious question, canon is basically it's what is considered part of the actual story. So Star Wars had the main movies, and they had a bunch of tie-in books, but the books were kind of side stories that could potentially be contradicted in future films. So the films were considered canon, and the books were non-canon. Though it was funny because back in the extended Star Wars universe, when they had all these books, movies, comic books, they would have degrees of canon. So like that's canon. It's like a little
and you
bit
came
canon.
up with a fictional character who's like he's like his superpower is he's like the universal arbiter of canon.
Right. It'd be like a dude just sitting
you
there.
pass him something and he'll look at it.
Canon.
Or be like 52% canon.
23% canon.
Yeah.
All right, with that, unless you guys have any other comments before we start to wrap up here. One? You don't have to if you don't have any comments. It's okay.
Tune in. Hey, we're going to keep doing these.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
right?
That's important to say. So we said after...
I promise not to be on any more of them.
Yeah, we're kicking Adam off. Don't worry. And because Alon wants all the attention, we're kicking him off.
Yeah.
Anyway... Every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing a stream just like this one. We'll come in with a few prepared topics. We can also talk about the stuff we're working on. But just like with what we did tonight, we'll respond to your questions, your comments in the chat. And in addition to that, in addition to this live stream, we're also doing a podcast every week.
Yeah.
So the next episode, which we've teased a few times, Vince Gilligan created Breaking Bad, co-created Better Call Saul. We went back and watched the first movie he ever wrote back in 1993 called Wilder Napalm. And we're doing a podcast about it. Should be out either Wednesday or Thursday, I'd say. But as Adam likes to point out, if you haven't watched the movie and don't have any interest in watching the movie, that's okay. We'll recap the whole thing on the podcast. It'll kind of recreate the experience as if you were sitting on the couch watching the movie with us. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And it's a really weird, interesting movie. So
yeah,
it's fun.
There's plenty to talk about.
There's a clown.
And a lot of weird. There is a clown. A lot of interesting parallels to Better Call Saul, considering it came out 30 years ago.
A surprising amount.
A surprising number. Some of them funny coincidences.
Number 10 may shock you.
Oh yeah, we'll do the arrow pointing at it. But some of the similarities I think are real. Like these are themes that Vince Gilligan was thinking about in the 90s and is still thinking about.
Yeah, so actually if you're thirsting for that Better Call Saul style discussion, a lot of the things we talk about in discussing this movie have to do with Better Call Saul because that's what our minds are on, right? So
yeah.
So we do take a lot of things from the movie and say, this gives me a new way to think about what's happening in Better Call Saul.
Right, exactly. And let me just rapid fire answer some of these questions here. Clifford, Gil, will you be on Peter's stream? Yes. I think he's going to keep doing streams when Better Call Saul comes back. I'll be on those, potentially Adam too. Mm-hmm. His schedule will be pretty busy, but we'll see. I don't think he's doing any more Saul streams in between seasons, but we'll see. Chris asks, what other shows will you guys be covering? I will say in general, we'll probably move away from episode by episode coverage. I'll never blanket say we're not going to do it. But if we are, it's more likely to be covered in a podcast format than it is the weekly videos. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that we'll still cover shows, but it'll be more video essay or once the season wraps up, giving all of our thoughts on it.
Right. Like I'd be surprised. I would say it's very likely that there will be Arcane Season 2 content.
Yeah.
1899 coverage to some extent.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You said very likely, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not committing to anything.
Yeah, I was like, I thought you were saying
because you're going to be doing most of the work.
I mean, we've got a list of like 10, 20 videos that you've wanted to make.
Yeah, I brought
like a lot of them relate to like classic movies that we love.
If you want to weigh in on this kind of stuff, you can join our Discord because
that
has Gil's ear. He's a very busy man.
Yeah, we actually had a great, I wasn't there for a lot of it, but I plan to participate in more of these. So we have a Discord. If you're unfamiliar with Discord, it's basically just a place you can go to chat. So if you had fun in the live chat here, you can have this 24/7. And we also have voice channels in there. So you join the voice channel and immediately you can hear everybody, you can talk. And Saturday night, there was a pretty lengthy, like 3 or 4 hour conversation about Better Call Saul. I popped in to say hello. Alon popped in to lurk for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, but if you have suggestions and you want to kind of help shape the channel, honestly, you can definitely do that in the Discord.
Oh, you did?
Oh, you did.
Yeah. I knew you were going to yell at me to do it.
Jay says, hey, you just went out. One viewer left and came back.
This is my personal.
Can you repeat everything? If you do want to hear any of what we talked about, I probably am going to unlist this video. So it's exclusive to all of you, but I think we might do a playlist so you can still find the live streams. We'll talk about it after. To tease some upcoming videos.
Also, as long as you just leave this window open, even when we aren't live anymore, you can just rewind.
And if you have the bell icon turned on, that notification doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you can find the notification, and even if I'm trying to hide the video, it's still there.
Because he's jealous of all the good attention I got.
Yeah, exactly. Here, I'll tease one video.
Okay.
I was taking notes, preparing for a video about Blade Runner, because I'm a fan of Ridley Scott. Of course, he helped to create Raised by Wolves. That's something we talked a lot about on this channel. So I've always thought about diving into Ridley Scott's library a bit. And Blade Runner, I started working on it today, and then I realized coincidentally that June 25th, this month, is the 40-year anniversary to the day that the original Blade Runner came out. So that is one of the several videos that I'm working on. There's a few others. I don't want to say them because my process is usually to start writing, and that tells me if it's going to be a good video or not. So a lot of these that I'm working on might not actually happen. Clifford says Raised by Wolves was canceled. Yeah, I haven't talked about that too much on the channel. Just responded to some comments. But yeah, that's a bummer. Sadly, I kind of saw it coming during season 2 because A, they announced the renewal for season 2 pretty early on in season 1. And 2, I feel like the show became less and less accessible in season 2. If you're a casual viewer, I could see why you would have dropped off after season 1.
So I was kind of a casual viewer, but I would sometimes listen in when you were talking about season 2, like doing your live streams and stuff. And I had no idea what you were talking about anymore. Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the plot had just progressed really into strange directions.
Yeah. So I hope it gets renewed
Or not
somehow.
strange, obscure directions.
Yeah. So there is a chance it'll come back. HBO canceled it. Abu Bakr, I forget his last name. Suddenly it escapes me. But the actor who plays Father, he's kind of leading the charge to try and get people to get HBO's attention or get anyone's attention because they do have 3 more seasons planned out. So Aaron Guzikowski and Ridley Scott are shopping it around to other networks. So there's still a chance it could get saved. Jay says, by the way, does that meet the fun fact requirement for every live stream? That's right. I forgot to mention. I like to do a fun fact sometimes, behind the scenes stuff. So here was the fun fact that I had planned for today. Castlevania. That's a TV show that we liked. Mm-hmm. And I did a recap for Castlevania. Pretty lengthy, a little too long, to be honest. The recap is like 2 or 3 hours long, I think. At a certain point, it's like you could just watch the show. But those were my early days of recaps. But the fun fact is that in that recap, I quote a lot of dialogue. And on that show, people speak with British accents and various other accents. There is a version of the recap where I did it all trying to mimic the accents of the characters on the show. And I listened to it and I was like, I think this sounds terrible. I'm not sure. So I played some of it for Alon and he was like, I mean, is this what it sounds like on the show? And then I was like, I played the show and then I played his and you were just like, well, they don't, like the way you say it, I'm not saying it sounds bad, but it doesn't sound like the way the character said it. So I scrapped the whole thing and re-recorded the entire recap.
So it's easier
in an
for
Australian
you.
accent.
Yeah. It's easier if you don't do it.
Yeah.
Except he already did.
Yeah, I know. It's the thing. I
But
did
in the future.
Yeah, I agreed. The only thing I'll do is if I'm quoting, this is what audiobooks do all the time. They will modulate their voice slightly, especially if you're like switching from a male character to a female character.
That's true, yeah.
So I do that to some extent, but the accents, no more. Okay. With that, I think we're ready to wrap up. So, like I said, we'll do this again next week, Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Doesn't mean we won't do other live streams. We might,
Yeah.
Maybe we'll play some video games.
Maybe play some video games.
that.
Yeah. So, with that, thank you all for joining. This was a lot of fun. You, me, Jack, Jay, Chris. I'm just recognizing some people that have joined several streams. You guys are all awesome. So are the rest of you. Everyone is awesome.
Lieutenant Dirk, I remember him.
Lieutenant Dirk for sure. So with that, thank you for joining. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for more. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Thanks.